What is up, guys? Chuck here. As promised, we're going to go over the 2017 Forester XT. Sorry it's been a couple weeks, but today's the day. So behind me is our new family car. Okay, so hopefully we're going to do this without having issues with wind noise, but this is our 2017 Forester XT Touring. What that means is it's the XT model. It's the 2-liter turbo, so 250 horsepower, 258 pounds-feet of torque. It is the quartz blue pearl, I believe is what the color is called. So there's not a whole lot of choice of color for the Foresters, but this is the color that we decided to go with. It's very like metallic-y blue, a little bit of hints of silver to it in certain lights. The 2017 Forester is not an entirely new model. It's what they call a refresh. What that means is that basically the entire car is the same underneath, but they do some things to kind of freshen it up, keep it semi-relevant for the new model year. So if you look at it, it's basically, you know, body shape and everything is basically identical to the previous models. Some of you more Forester enthusiasts may notice that rear taillights have been changed. This shape has been very similar for almost, I don't know, 8 years or so. The Forester's been very similarly shaped, but the rear lights, they kind of change here and there. The XT now gets a new black and silver wheel combination. So these are, I believe, 18s. They get kind of a black spoke with a polished or brushed aluminum kind of front. The front is probably where most of you will notice a difference. The front is definitely changed. They changed the bumper for both the XT as well as the just regular 2.5. Front's definitely a little bit more sharp. They got rid of kind of like the bubbly look of the previous ones. Bumper's different. The headlights are different. The grille, I believe, is a tiny bit different, but it's just a little bit sharper look. New things for 2017, they added the LED headlights. Huge perk on the STI that I like, so I'm happy to have them here. These outside sea lights, or whatever they call them, light up as the daytime running lights, which is really cool. It's a really good look. The XT gets kind of this more aggressive front fascia, black kind of here center in the middle, just so a little bit trying to be sportier of a look. Besides that, there's not a whole lot new with the exterior of these cars. This color was available before, so if you like it and you want a 2016, you can still get it. All-wheel drive, obviously, it is a Subaru. Wheels, I think, look a lot better than the previous model, just a little bit sportier, a little bit sharper. Easy way to tell the XT. XT gets the dual tailpipe setup here, so muffler on each side. The 2.5, I believe, just has one taillight exit. If that is, if you can't read, I guess, the XT that's right here, that's probably a little bit more obvious. So for 2016s and up, I believe every car in the market, in the US at least, comes standard with a backup camera. This car has some cool extra features. It does have an auto lift tailgate, which you could get on previous models. It's a little bit slow, but it does the job pretty well. Just a little button here to put it back down. Decent amount of cargo space. This one came with the rubber floor mat. There's actually a little bit of space underneath here as well to cram some stuff in, which is cool. In the back, there's buttons on either side here to drop the seat with one touch, which is kind of cool. So they're kind of like spring loaded. You pull that button, drops the seat. I have the seat back, so it kind of held it propped up. Cool things, this car has basically approach lights, so when you unlock the doors, this little light shines down on the ground to let you see around it. Nice little feature. Also has the exterior blind spot detection. So there's a little like light here. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but that'll light up. This car does also have the keyless access. So you basically touch it, put your hand behind it here, it unlocks the car, unlocks all 4 doors. Very nice. All right, interior. This is, I feel like, where they've made a lot of improvements. The as you can see, deviated stitching everywhere, really cool. This is the black leather, the white deviated stitching. They have a saddle brown and some other colors. We decided to go black. As you can see here, auto touch front, driver and passenger. Pretty awesome, Subaru. Finally getting that passenger side auto window down. But Cool leather on the doors, you know, nice little touches here and there. Cool thing for the married folks, we got memory seats, 2 positions, so you and your wife share driving the car like we do. Basically, if we're out at all, we're in this car. So you don't have to remember where your seat is. You just hit the button, it goes right back, which is pretty awesome. Let's see what else we got in here. New steering wheel, which is pretty awesome. They've done really well lately with steering wheels for whatever reason. The STI steering wheel is very nice, the new WRX steering wheel, etc. This is redesigned, looks way better. It does have a lot of buttons on it, but got cool little white deviated stitching, and just the overall design looks a lot better. The airbag's not quite as like weird and giant looking. The steering wheel does now come, if you get the XT Touring, with heat, so you can have a heated steering wheel. I've never had that before. It's kind of interesting, should be cool to try out. It does have paddle shifters, so the XT comes with paddle shifters. This car is a CVT, so it's kind of weird to have paddle shifters, but we can talk about that in a few. This is the Starlink setup. You've heard of me talk about it before. Meh, it's okay. It does what it does, and I don't have too many huge complaints, but basically gauge cluster, pretty nice. A couple little gauges you can sift through here. Up top, another little gauge setup. I don't know if we can see this with the sun, but you know, different little things you can have set up here. Boost gauge, kind of cool. Let's see what else we got that's interesting in here. Piano black. So I don't know if this is swappable to the STI, but people who are looking for piano black with a little bit of like silver here, this dash looks very similar to the STI, so that may be a piece that can swap over. Up top here, something small, nice to include, sunglass holder. We got the rear view mirror. This is the auto dim one, so it will dim, you know, with bright cars behind you. It's also the home link, so it has 3 places for garage door openers to be kept. You know, vanity mirrors with lights on both sides. The car, let's see, Harman Kardon sound system in this one. Heated front seats. Overall, the materials in here are very similar to the STI, so the dash is kind of like a soft rubbery material. The leather and seats are actually very comfortable. They're very soft and supple leather, which is a nice addition. Again, the leather on the doors looks very cool. There is some hard plasticky stuff down here. You know, nothing that is not too far out of the Subaru realm, but the leather on the doors, everything has been very nice so far. Okay, so backseat room is always interesting because I'm really big. So as you see, I'm sitting here, about an inch or so of headroom. This car does have this freaking enormous sunroof here. I think this is basically standard on all Foresters, which is cool. But if you notice, I'll see if I can get you to show you this a little bit. See this little, I always talk about this. See this little dip down here? See how like much the roof could save? It could save a little bit of headroom if this sunroof panel didn't have to slide into the back here. So just a little thing to note there. The back room, I'm 6'5". I definitely have some headroom here, but you know, it could be a little bit more if they would have cut down on the size of the sunroof a little bit. I'm sitting behind myself, so this seat is in the position that I would keep it in. My feet are not touching the seat unless I keep them straight in front of me, which nobody sits like this. They're touching the seat, but decent amount of room. I can move my feet around down here a little bit, not too super tight. So that's always a good measure. 6'5" person can sit behind a 6'5" person. Reasonably comfortable. The seats in here are very padded, very nice. I like the new leather that they have in here. Overall, decent amount of back room. Here's what you'd like to see for those dads in the world. This is a car seat, a decent sized car seat, nothing too massive. My wife seats up a little bit here, but you can see plenty of room for the kid, plenty of headroom, plenty of access room when you open the door. So definitely kid friendly. Back seat has this little pull out here, cup holders, etc. Pretty cool. Yeah, but overall, backseat room is fairly generous for this size car, definitely a little bit more than the Hyundai that we had. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount you guys to the windshield with the little GoPro mount here, and we're gonna take it for a ride. I'll just kind of talk about, we have about 1,000 miles on this car. I'll talk about generally how we feel about it so far, whether I like it. I do drive the STI daily, so getting in this, is it better or worse than the Hyundai? How am I feeling about it? Okay, give me one sec. All right, we are testing out a new mic setup today. I bought a little like cheap lav mic off of Amazon, so let's see if this kind of helps the audio in the car here. Okay, so the Forester XT for 2017, and I believe all the other prior years, has 250 horsepower, 258 pounds-feet of torque. It is not the speediest car that I've ever driven, but it is way better than the Hyundai we used to have. I test drove the base 2.5i as well as the 2.0 XT just to kind of like get a feel for like, all right, what am I truly paying for here? Is it, can you really tell the extra, I think it's 80 horsepower, which again, maybe sounds stupid from the surface. Of course you can tell it's got 80 extra horsepower. I just didn't know. It's not, I mean, it's our family car. It's not a car that I'm taking to the racetrack or doing anything super exciting with, but I was tired of the 170 horsepower slowness of the Hyundai that we used to have. This is kind of a smaller crossover SUV thing, but you can tell when it's only got 170 horsepower. The thing is like a giant pig. It just will, you just can't get it to get up and go, especially on highway, etc. This car is much better. We spoke about the CVT just for a minute earlier. It does have a CVT. If you don't know what a CVT is, it's a continuously variable transmission. What that means is it doesn't really have gears. It just kind of like slips up and down this weird gear shaft thing. And it's notoriously annoying for people who like driving cars. So I was a little bit concerned about that because I drive the STI, it's manual transmission. CVT is like the furthest thing from a manual transmission you can get. And it's not too annoying. It is, of my couple gripes on this car, the CVT is one of them. It's not terrible. It's way less annoying than some of the other CVTs you can get on the market, aka Nissan. But it's not awful. It doesn't really, for the most part, like my wife doesn't know what a CVT is. She hasn't really noticed that like, hey, this car feels like it drives different. I notice sometimes when I put my foot in it that it's a little, the shifting is a little bit weirder. Like it's not always smooth. Sometimes like a little bit lurchy. It's not a big deal. It's only typically when I dump this thing in sport mode and like put my foot in it, or I've actually used the paddle shifters as well. And the paddle shifter is a little bit like when you hit it, it's a little bit like, you know, like every time you change a gear, it like kind of lurches a little bit. Again, for a family car, it's great. Would I want to drive it every day as my car in replacement for the STI? Probably not. But it's way, way more fun to drive than the Hyundai that we had before. It's definitely got a sporty vibe to it. The turbo gets up and goes pretty well. It's got a cool little like whistle. You can kind of hear the turbo whistle as it's going. Almost like a little bit of like diesel-ish, turbo diesel vibe, which is cool. Front seat room is excellent. I got the seat all the way back. The first couple times I drove it, I almost didn't want to have the seat all the way back because I felt like I was really far away from the pedals and the steering wheel, which for somebody 6'5" in a small SUV, that's pretty good. The steering wheel telescopes, which is great. Overall, the space inside is very good. So why the Forester, Chuck? Why did you go with the Forester when you had the Hyundai Tucson? It's basically the same thing. Why didn't you go with an Outback? It's so much bigger, etc. The Outback's actually not that much bigger. I tried to convince my wife to go Outback, but she wasn't feeling the wagony look. So instead, we went with the Forester. The Forester, if you compare the figures and everything, cargo space is almost identical to the Outback. The Outback is longer, but it's shorter. So the trunk is a little bit longer than the Outback, but dimensionally, if you can stack stuff up in the Forester, you can get the same amount of room that you can in the Outback. What's nice about it being taller is a little more headroom. The overall, like inside, the cabin feels like a fishbowl, which some people think is like a bad way to describe something. But the visibility in this thing is ridiculous. And for a family car, that's good. Comfort-wise, this thing is super comfortable. The seats are great. The suspension, I don't know if the suspension, I probably should know this, but I don't know if it's going to get like a little bit of sportier vibe in the XT or not. But the seats are very comfortable. The suspension itself is like not rough, very kind of smooth. This isn't the greatest road I'm driving on now, but it's way less bouncy and jarring than the Hyundai that we had before was. They rate this thing at 23 in the city and 27 on the highway, I believe. Keep in mind it's all-wheel drive and it is the 4-cylinder turbo. So far we've gotten about mid 25s ish, so mid 20s. So it's pretty accurate, it seems. You know, we kind of do a general mixed driving because we're stuck in traffic, going back and forth to work, etc. So I think they're pretty accurate. 25ish is probably what we'll see out of it. It does take premium gas because it's the turbo, but again, something that we were willing to go with just to kind of get that little bit of extra, I don't know, extra oomph out of the vehicle. Okay, one thing I know a lot of you are going to ask is, how fast is it, Chuck? I mean, I drive the STI all the time, so it's not crazy fast, but it's definitely better than most small SUVs. We'll go ahead and put it into Sport Sharp here, and put it into manual mode. And let's see, we're going to go ahead and hit a second gear roller here as I get around this turn. So it's all right. That wasn't a huge number, but it moves along pretty good. It's basically silent, so if that's what you're into, then you know, silence. No exhaust note. But it definitely, that wasn't foot all the way down. I don't want to push this thing too hard. It's just now approaching the break-in period, but it'll scoot you around pretty good. No issues so far, so the car has not been back to the shop for any reason. Obviously hasn't had an oil change or anything yet, no maintenance because it's not even to 1,000 miles yet. But yeah, overall, in the quality, I think Subaru stepped up their game a little bit with the refresh. Some of the stuff that I mentioned earlier was available in the 2016. But we compare the 2016 interior to the 2017, and like just the like deviated stitching and stuff made such a huge deal when we were looking at it. Just made it feel like a little bit more upscale. Things like the memory seats I don't think were available before. Little things like that, small little details that you can find in most other cars. For some reason Subaru wasn't including on the Forester. On the road, this thing behaves really well. It's the 2017 actually got thicker glass and more sound insulation. So again, they're trying to upscale the Forester a little bit. Okay dudes, that's all I got to say about the Forester XT. You'll see it in some upcoming videos, I'm sure. Nothing crazy gonna happen to it. It's our family car, so it's not gonna be like crazy modded or anything weird, but probably little things here and there. Just keep in mind, if you have questions, you're always free to ask me. I pretty much respond to everybody in the comments. I really appreciate the support so far. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers. 4,000 people. Seems small in the YouTube world, but it's awesome, okay? I very genuinely appreciate all of your support and all the like super positive, awesome comments you guys leave. I don't really have a whole lot of trolls yet, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, again, ask me questions, comment, just say hey, whatever you want to do, and hopefully we'll see this car a little bit more in the future. Obviously more STI and E36 M3 videos coming up soon. The cooling system's going to be done. It's been like 110 degrees for the past 2 or 3 weeks here, which is miserable to be outside for just more than just a short period of time. The cooling system thing I think is going to take me most of the day, so I need like a reasonably temperatured Saturday to take care of it. So again, appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was good to see you again, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!